I don't want to be filmed while I paint, and that has a specific reason, namely that the act of painting is too intimate to show on a screen, because it easily becomes a trick that I simply perform instead of the deeply intimate and delicate act that it is in reality to make a painting. If I would go painting while I'm filmed, I would become an actor painting and not a painter painting. It's just a border that I don't cross, and at this moment nobody ever has seen me painting, nobody, even not my girlfriend, even not my parents, intimate people, friends, whatever, and I want to keep it that way. My name is Gís Marí. I'm a painter, Dutch-born painter, born in the Netherlands, and I live and work in Figueira da Foz in Portugal. I remember my father went to Paris a lot, Brussels, like to go to small art fairs or go to galleries to buy art, and he would come back with a lot of paintings under his arms and show them to me, and the whole house was always filled with art, with paintings, where he was proud of, new acquisitions, new exhibitions he had and stuff. So I was always surrounded by art. I started dedicating my life to painting in my early 20s. That's something like 14 years ago now. When I was living in Amsterdam, I rented an old shack, like a construction worker shack, and I just went trial and error, experiencing, like an autodidactic, so no education, nothing. I went experiencing with the material itself, with the reaction of the material, with brushes, with dripping, with colors, with realistic art, with abstract art. And I spent hundreds and hundreds of hours like that, without a specific goal, without aiming for something specifically, just trying to get in touch, get to know the medium of painting. From my childhood, from the place where I grew up, I always lived in big spaces, like there was always space around. That's something that I very much remember. The house was big, there was a lot of rooms, I could play wherever I want, there was a big garden where I could play, there was streets, there was forest everywhere, and from my childhood until now I had the privilege to be able to live in places with space. I could always move, like physically, and this physical space for me manifests itself also in a mental space, which again, as I paint large-scale paintings, this space also manifests itself in the work itself. What I mostly try to convey as an artist is energy. I try to put in the painting as much energy as possible by working layer over layer over layer, by using the best materials, by only putting my signature on the best work possible and destroying the rest. It's really interesting, something I learned in the last few years while painting. Before I was not that conscious of it, is that while you're painting, success and despair are very close to each other, at least in my experience. So at the moment that I came up with a form or with a color combination or something that is unique and strong, were moments that I was almost about to end the painting or cut it into pieces. And I thought a lot of why that is. And I think that when you are in despair, that means that you're in unknown territory, terra incognita. So you don't know exactly where you are anymore. It's not that you just follow lines like a structure and you just follow rules that you've learned, but you're out of those rules, so there's nowhere to grab on anymore. This feels scary, but if you keep going, it can result in the best, most original results. What is very interesting about abstract art is that abstract, the word itself, means that there's no reference. And the word abstract comes from Latin, and it literally means drawn away. So it's drawn away from a reference, it's drawn away from rules, it's drawn away from all the criteria that realistic art is not drawn away from. It's absolute freedom and absolute void at the same time. You can go in all directions, which makes it really, really interesting. I can sit in my painting chair for hours sometimes just looking to a canvas and not having the energy or inspiration to know what to do. But just by staying focused, lucid, almost waiting for it, a moment can take place that the energy almost floats inside of me, and I suddenly have inspiration, have a new idea, and I start painting. So it's a myth, at least in my perception, in my experience, that a painter is just all day with a brush in his hand painting. That's not how it works for me. You are as lucid, as fit physically, but also mentally, and as engaged as possible, not disturbed, completely into it. But it's not just painting, it's also waiting for the right moment to start painting. The place where I live now is surrounded by horizons. It's surrounded by a way of looking very far ahead. I see the horizon if I look through my window. I see the river, and far away I see the horizon if I go to the ocean. The current exhibition, Paisagens do Inefável, it takes place in an 11th century chapel in Montemor-o-Velho. The chapel is situated quite high on a hill next to a castle. And the higher you climb towards the chapel, the broader the view is that you have. You see the rice fields and the horizon after that. And those are all horizons that exist in nature. And the interesting thing is that when you put a blank canvas on the wall and you start painting, the blank canvas is your horizon. So in that situation, you as a painter, I as a painter, create my own horizon. And for me, the source of all the power and energy that is in my work is nature. Everything for me that has power, unicity, relevance is derived from there. The only thing you have to do is open your eyes, walk through a forest, go to the ocean, see a wave exploding. That's abstract expressionism on plein air, like life happening. In contrary to the cliché image there is that the most scary thing there is for as a painter to see is a blank canvas, I find it the contrary, because when there's a blank canvas there's no connection yet, there's no relationship, and there's nothing to lose. You don't risk anything if you have no relationship with something, or there's nothing to lose. I usually start very loose with diluted thin paint, and I apply the paint without a specific idea in mind. I just look for powerful color combinations, strong forms, a suitable size of the canvas, and over time, because I paint in a lot of layers, over time the painting develops and I develop a relationship with the painting. It's like a conversation I have with the painting, and the longer I paint on it, the deeper the relationship becomes. But the longer you work on a painting, sometimes I work on a painting for half a year, 1 year, 2 years, a long time, layer over layer, the more there is to lose. So the more scary you can be to paint with the same intensity. And that I see as a big challenge, and something I want to do at all costs, is that even at the last brushstroke of a painting, imagine I'm painting for a year already, even the last brushstroke should have the same intensity, the same risk as the first one. There is a moment that I decide that painting is finished, then I sign it, which for me is a ritual. It takes a day or half a day of work. I'm very focused. I decide for a title, I add poems, I make it as profound as possible. And when it's signed, I, as a painter, have no influence over it anymore. If the painting is not good enough, if it doesn't come close to my measurements of quality, then I should be relentless and cut it into pieces and throw it away. This whole process of having the relationship with the painting and working on it and putting it away for some months and then work on it again, layer over layer over layer, has to do also with this atelier. For me, feels like a womb, a place where birth is almost, or can take place, the pre-stage of birth. So what I try to achieve is that somebody is, after encountering my work, a slightly different person than before encountering my work. And that's where my function ends.